Alright, hi guys. So what we're going to be talking about is converting fractions to decimals. And one of the things that we need to think about when we think about the word converting, that just means to change. And so we're changing fractions to an equivalent decimal. That means something that means and is worth, has the same value. It's worth the same thing. So we're going to start with some easy ones, and then we're going to move to the more difficult. There's some fractions that we work with, especially ones that have a 10 as the denominator and ones that have 100 as the denominator, that they're real easy to change to a decimal, because when we read them 1/10, then naturally it lends itself to our place value chart that we have. And if I only have 1/10, then this becomes my decimal. So my equivalent decimal for 1/10 is shown like that. So there's some I don't have to do any kind of calculations or any kind of mathematical work, because as I read the fraction, it automatically can be translated or converted into a decimal. Okay? Same thing for 5/100ths. Okay? If I have 5/100ths, then that means I only have a 5 in the 100th spot, which means no tenths. This shows 5/100ths, so 5/100ths itself would be 0.05. Okay? However, if I have something like 2 and 5/100ths, then it's going to look a little different, because now I have two wholes, two ones, and then 5/100ths, and so my equivalent decimal is going to look like this. Okay? But still, it didn't require any kind of calculations, any kind of mathematical work. These just naturally, as I say them, I can put them down into their proper places in the place value locations, and voila, I'm done. Okay. However, there are some fractions that do require some mathematical work. Okay, so for instance, 5/6. And so when we have 5/6, we remember back from doing fractions that our decimal bar means the same, or I'm sorry, our fraction bar means the same as division. And so what we're going to do then is we think about this as 5 divided by 6. Okay, and so what we're going to do now is when we do our division, if you remember, when we talked about this in class, that 5 has a value like this, but I can make 5 have the same value when I put 0.0 there. I can keep adding zeros if I need to, and it still retains the same value. Okay, and so before we started this, let's cover up here. Before we started this, I had 5 divided by 6. Well, I can't do that. If I have 5, I cannot remove a group of 6 if I only have 5. And so I can't divide that into 6 equal parts without that being less than 1. So the way that I show this then, so I can do some easy division, is now I can think about this as, let me rewrite this. Make this a little bit easier to talk about. Okay, so when I add my 0.0, now I can think of this as 50. Okay, the first thing you want to do is bring your decimal straight up. So I've done that. And now I can start my division. Okay, so first I'm going to ask myself, what is 50 divided by 6? Okay, I know I can take away 8 groups of 6, and that gives me 48. 9 groups of 6 is too much. That's 54. So 8 groups of 6 is 48. And now I'm going to subtract that amount to see how many are left over. 50 minus 48 is 2. And then, if I need to keep going on my decimal, all I need to do is just add another 0 here, because now I still have the same value, but now I have a 0 that I can bring down into my answer, into my remainder, and I can do dividing again. If I have 20 and I want to take out groups of 6, I can take away 3 groups of 6 from that. Because 3 groups of 6 is 18. So 20 minus 18 again is 2. Alright, if I needed to keep going, I have another 0 here that I can bring down, because remember, if I add zeros, I'm not changing the value of anything. So bring another 0 down. Again, I have 20. oh, I think I'm seeing a repeating part here. 3 groups of 6 that I'm going to take away from that. 3 groups of 6 is 18. And again, my remainder is 2. So now I know that this 3 is going to keep repeating because at this point in my math, I'm repeating from here on down. I'm always going to have a remainder of 2. Okay? So we have that repeating decimal, but I have enough to show an answer. Okay? So I know that my 3's are going to keep repeating. And so now I have my equivalent decimal for 5/6. So that means 5/6, its decimal is 0.83 repeating. Okay? If I were going to take this decimal and round it, then I might do something like this. We're going to round to the nearest hundredth. And so 0.833. Okay, if I'm rounding to the nearest hundredth, which is right there, I'm going to look to the next number in my decimal, which is in the thousands place. Remember that if your number is 0 through 4, you're going to keep this digit the same. However, if it is 5 and above, then it gets rounded up. Okay, so the 3 tells this 3 what to do. So since it's 0 through 3, this 3 is going to stay the same. So my rounded answer is going to be 0.83. Okay? And that's my answer here. All right? Let's take another look. If you want to start on this one for practice, we have 1/7. I'm going to solve this one, though, here. But if you want to stop the video and try solving it to see if your answer matches up with mine, you can do that. So I'm going to set up my division. 1 divided by 7. Since I have 1, I cannot take away a group of 7 without it being parts of a whole. So I'm going to go ahead and add my 0.0. That way I still have my same value. Bring that decimal straight up. And so now I'm ready to divide. 10 divided by 7. Well, I can take away 1 group of 7. So 1 group of 7 is 7. Now it's time to subtract. I have a leftover of 3. And so since I want to get more in my decimal answer, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to add a 0 so I have something to bring down. 30. 30 divided by 7. I know that I can take away 4 groups of 7 away from 30. 4 groups of 7 is 28. 4 times 7 is 28, so now I have 2 left over. One more time. Bringing my 0 down. Okay, I have 20. I can take away 2 groups of 7. 2 groups of 7 is 14. And I have a remainder of 6 there. Okay, so now I have 3 numbers in my decimal, 142 thousandths. Okay, so if I want to take 142 thousandths and round that to the nearest hundredth, that means I'm going to look to the digit in the thousandths to tell me what to do. The 2 tells my 4 to stay the same. So my rounded answer is 0.14, which is my answer. So if you were looking for the answer, there it is. 1/7, when I changed it, when I converted it to a decimal, it's 0.14. Okay? Here's one for you to practice. Okay, I want you to practice this one on your own. I'm going to pause the video and do my work, and when the video starts up again, you'll see what the answer is. Okay, so if you were waiting to find the answer, here's our solution. So compare what I have to yours. First, you should have been able to bring in some zeros as you were doing your division, and you should have ended up with a solution of 714 thousandths. And then when we did our rounding, I'm rounding to the 100th place value spot, and so now I have 0.71 as my answer. Okay, and the last one to practice on, 3/7. Again, I'm going to stop the video, and I want you to try it, and then you can come back to the video and check your answer. So I'm going to stop the video now. Okay, and here's your solution to 3/7. Once you've done your division and brought down your zeros, you should have gotten an answer of 428 thousandths. And so when it becomes time to round those thousandths, you have to round to the nearest hundredth, which means the 8's going to tell the 2 to round up. And so now you've got 43 hundredths as your answer. So 3/7 is the same as 43 hundredths as a decimal. Okay? Again, if you have any questions, please make sure you ask, or if you have any problems with homework, please come in the morning and make sure that you ask. Okay? Take your time. Think about your division. I think that's probably the biggest part where most of us are going to get tripped up. All right? Okay, good luck. Have a good night.